Good afternoon. We're back with another DC Dual Force video, and today will be a hero tier list. As of today, July 13th, 2023, the closed beta for the game has ended, and tomorrow, July 14th, 2023, the open beta will begin. And with the open beta, well, this will mean that we will no longer be given 30 packs plus 5 packs per day, but instead we'll have to acquire packs the typical way by playing the game or by purchasing them in the shop, and we will keep the cards that we purchase or earn through playing once the game enters into the release state. So I'm going to do a tier list and give my recommendations about which heroes would be good to pick up first. I don't have any details on what the crafting system for the game will be. Don't know that those details exist at this point, except that there will be some kind of crafting system in the future, so it seems likely that the card acquisition won't simply be left up to chance, but we'll have some kind of Hearthstone-esque crafting system where we can choose which heroes we want to pick up. So I'm going to give my recommendations for which heroes will be good to pick up first, and we'll take a look at the Might heroes first. First up is going to be Wonder Woman. We'll talk a little bit about the different tiers. The S tier, these are going to be the must-have heroes, the ones you'll want to get first if you have any choice at all. The heroes that are going to carry you. The A tier heroes are going to be excellent partner heroes for the S tier heroes, or you could partner 2 A tier heroes and still make a decent deck. The B tier heroes will be heroes that are not useless, but certainly not strong, and I would not expect 2 B tier heroes partnered together to be very good at all. An A and a B tier hero will likely not be top tier, but will at least be playable, and anything lower than that I don't really consider playable at all for any purpose other than just fun or thematic reasons. So, a little bit about the DC Dual Force mechanics. As I noted in my gameplay videos, DC Dual Force is a control-oriented game, and that is because every ally that you play to the board has guard, which means that opposing allies cannot go through your allies to target your heroes unless they have a specific trait called Hunter. In Hearthstone, which is probably the nearest comparable for DC Dual Force, any ally that you play could target the enemy heroes unless the enemy allies had the specific trait that blocked you. It's not the case in DC Dual Force. By default, allies block unless the enemy has a specific trait, which means this is a much more control-oriented and much less rush-friendly game than Hearthstone is. Games tend to be longer, and because of the way the resource system works, you get 2 cards per round that cost resources, unless you have a way to generate additional resources. You can only play 2 cards per round that cost resources, and cards that generate additional resources are rather rare. So typically you'll see 2 cards per round that cost resources, and then potentially free cards like gadgets or lightning bolts or so forth. You draw 1 card per round. So that means if you play 2 cards per round and you draw only 1 card per round, unless you draw additional cards or create additional cards, you're going to run out of cards. And because the game is not friendly to rush strategies at all, we put a very high priority on heroes or cards that create other cards, because that will ensure that we never run out of cards to play. If we don't play a hero or cards in our deck that create cards or that draw other cards, we will run out of cards and we will lose to an opponent who does do those things. So that's our priority. It could be that the game changes in the future. Maybe over the course of the beta they change their minds and they allow all allies to attack heroes unless an enemy ally has the specific card trait. I don't think they will, because that would kind of eliminate the purpose of the Hunter trait. But if they did that, then our hero rankings would change rather dramatically, because rush decks would gain a big boost. Or if they start printing a lot more cards that have the Hunter and Speed trait, The speed trait is the trait that allows an ally to attack the same turn that it's played. So a ally with a hunter and speed trait could attack a hero the same turn that it's played. Think an ally with, this would be like an ally with charge in Hearthstone. Those are rare in DC Dual Force. In fact, I'm not sure that they exist at all. There are a few allies that deal direct damage to heroes, but by and large, I have not seen an effective rush strategy, and I can't imagine a very effective rush strategy given the cards that we've seen in the game so far. So, we're looking primarily for heroes that create value, because these heroes will allow us to outlast the enemy and win games. That being said, let's get started. The first hero that we're going to look at is Wonder Woman. If you're not familiar with DC Dual Force, the big yellow 2 on Wonder Woman on her game text means that she can use her ability every 2 turns. A hero by default gains 1 charge per turn, so after 2 turns you can activate Wonder Woman's ability to give her +4 attack this turn and give your recruits +1 shield or +1 health. And she comes with 21 health. One pattern I've noticed in DC Dual Force is that, in general, the powers that activate sooner are better than the powers that take longer to charge up. So the 2 charge powers are nearly always better than the 3 or 4 charge powers, because the 3 or 4 charge powers just don't seem to offer enough value to offset their cost. Wonder Woman is in the 2-turn category. She takes 2 turns to charge up her power. 4 attack doesn't give us any value on board. It enables us to remove value at the cost of health, because we take damage to remove the value by attacking a recruit. We can eliminate it from the board. Giving recruits +1 shield does help. It creates a little bit of value. It's not like creating a whole new creature or a spell, but it creates a little bit of value, and that makes Wonder Woman a pretty good supporting hero for one of our carries, which means she's going in the A tier. Attacking for 4, getting 4 damage for 2 cost is pretty good, and the bonus of giving your recruits +1 shield and all for 2 cost, it's above average, well above average. And in my opinion, she goes in the A tier, a good supporting hero for one of the S tier heroes, or a good partner for another A tier hero. Next up, we're going to look at Superman. Superman comes with 22 health, and his power costs 3, and he gets +7 attack and invincible this turn. Typically, the 3 cost powers don't provide as much power as the 2 cost powers. In this case, Wonder Woman got double the power for her charge cost. She got 4 for 2. Superman gets more than double his power, or more than double in power for his charge cost. His charge takes 3 turns to build up, and he gets 7 attack, and he doesn't take any damage in return when he trades. That's pretty strong. It doesn't create any value, but it is effective at removing value from the board. And that makes him a fairly good supporting hero. He's going in the A tier, though I don't consider him as good as Wonder Woman, because his power costs 3 and not 2, but it is pretty effective, and he is above average. In one of my closed beta videos, I played a Batman Superman deck, which I didn't think would do that well, but actually did pretty well. It went 4-1 in the video where I played it. I liked Superman. Wouldn't be sad to draw him from a pack, though I would prefer Wonder Woman. But he's definitely not going in the S tier because he doesn't create any value on board. We're looking for heroes that create value on board in order to put them in the S tier. These are going to be the heroes that we build our decks around. Which brings us to Aquaman. Aquaman comes with 20 health. He is the final of the 3 Might heroes. And his power costs 3. And he gets +3 attack this turn. Summon a sea creature, then give friendly sea creatures everywhere +1/+1. In order to judge the value of this power, we'll have to take a look at the sea creatures. This is not one of the sea creatures. This is one of the sea creatures. There are 6 of them. This is one of the sea creatures that Aquaman can create when you use his hero power, and this gives your Aquaman leader invincible and +3 attack. That's very strong. If we create this sea creature, we get an attack for 6 and invincible, and we get a blocker. Very, very good hero power if we get Storm the Seahorse. Next up, Squid, which is a 4 attack, 2 health sea creature. With deploy, exhaust a random enemy recruit. That's very good. We'd be happy to get that. Narwhal, a 6/1 with an aura. Aura means it blocks the first opponent ability, basically blocks the first spell that's played on it, so it would take 2 gadgets to kill it, or 2 lightning bolts to kill it, or something like that. It's okay. It's easy to trade for it. It's easy for the opponent to get a high value trade out of this card. Not super happy to see that one if we get it. Humpback Whale, 2 attacks, 7 health, hard to remove from the board. Solid, not sad to see that one. Great White Shark, 4 attack, 4 health. With Hunter, Hunter means it can attack over protective cards. It can go through guard, it can go through other recruits in order to get to heroes or back row targets or whatever you want to hit with it. We're not sad to see that at all. Giant Anglerfish End, which means at the end of the turn, give your recruits with 5 attack or more +1/+1, and it is a 3/3. Incredible value off of this hero power. 5 out of the 6 cards are very, very strong, and we're happy to see them if we get them from Aquaman. So if we're judging the value that you get from this 3 charge power, you get 3 attack, you get a sea creature, and then you give friendly sea creatures everywhere +1/+1. That is incredible value. There is no doubt at all that Aquaman is going in the S tier. He is, in my opinion, the strongest hero in the game. The first priority, if we have any choice at all about what order we get the heroes in. Absolutely want this hero, and you can see the value that he creates relative to, say, Superman, whose power also costs 3. Superman attacks for 7. He can remove 1 relatively large target from the board. Let's say on the same turn that Aquaman and Superman both played their powers, Aquaman going first. So Aquaman creates one of the creatures that we looked at for 3, buffs it by +1/+1. Aquaman attacks for 3. Superman removes the creature that Aquaman created from the board with his attack for 7. And then that's all Superman gets to do. So the net of that exchange would be that Aquaman got 3 damage, which would make his power 3 damage better than Superman's. And Superman's is not bad. We could compare Aquaman's hero power to any hero in the game, and Aquaman would come out on top of that exchange. So he's the best hero in the game. He's an S tier hero. He's the hero that most top tier decks will be built around when the game launches. I have no doubt about that. He's the first priority if we have any choice about how to acquire heroes at all. Let's dive into the tactics heroes now. First up is going to be Green Arrow, 19 health. His hero power costs 2 charge. And we get to seek a bronze, silver, or gold trick arrow. So let's take a look at those trick arrows. We'll just cycle through them relatively quickly. There are a lot of them. This costs gold, deal 5 damage to an enemy recruit the first time you play it. Return it to your hand and it becomes free, so you can deal 5 damage twice for your gold resource. Deal 3 damage to an enemy recruit, draw 3 cards. Deal 4 damage to each front row enemy recruit. Deal 6 damage to an enemy and 3 damage to each adjacent. 4 damage to an enemy, charge a random friendly leader 3 times. And then we drop down and we get lesser versions of each of these cards. 3 damage twice, 2 damage, draw 2, 3 damage to each front row, 4 damage and 2 to adjacents, 3 damage, charge each leader twice, and then we drop into the bronze versions of those cards. Remember how I mentioned that we're looking to create value in order to outlast opponents, because the default for this game is control and not rush or aggro because of the way the game is structured, and Green Arrow does an exceptional job of always giving you something to do with the resources that you have. You are never going to run out because you can create a trick arrow, and that trick arrow can be either bronze, silver, or gold. You will be given a bronze choice, a silver choice, and a gold choice, one of each, and then you can choose the card that fits the situation the best. You can choose the card that fits the resource that you have available for that turn the best. This is very, very strong. Very strong hero. He is going in the S tier. Not as strong as Aquaman, but he is very strong, and you can build very strong decks centered around his ability. He scales up very well into the end game. In the early game, you can grab a bronze or a silver arrow that you'll be able to play right away, and then as the game moves along, you can grab a gold arrow. So he creates value, and he creates value that scales up very well. I found Green Arrow to be an exceptional hero. And will definitely be a hero that top tier decks are built around. Moving on, next up we have Cyborg, a very interesting hero, a bit of a wild card for me. His ability does cost 4, and that's a lot. It comes with 21 HP. Deal 1 damage to an enemy character for each card you have drawn this game. So clearly this is an ability that early in the game doesn't do a lot. It's not that common to draw extra cards. You draw 1 per round. It's not that common to draw extra cards. In order to get good value out of this, how much attack would we need? Well, Superman gets a little more than double. Wonder Woman gets double. This is a reasonable comparison, so we would need to wait either 8 turns or draw additional cards before Cyborg could deal 8 damage. My experience, roughly turn 6 or so, Cyborg's ability becomes decent, and it can continue ramping up. You tend to get into some long games in DC Dual Force because it's not, as I said, it's not friendly to rush decks. So you tend to get into some long games. And the longer the game goes on, the better Cyborg's ability gets. And it can target heroes. So he's a wild card. He's very bad in the early game, but he's very good in the late game. In the very late game, he's really strong. I saw him be quite effective. I didn't see him played a lot, but I saw him be quite effective at least once. He's a wild card for me. I could easily see him being part of a top tier deck in the future, especially with more cards being released. I could also see him not being played much. He's going to go in the B tier for now. You could make an argument for either A or C, though, depending on your experiences with the game. My sample size is very small. I'm not confident in my Cyborg recommendation. I'm confident in the Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Wonder Woman recommendations, but I'm not confident in the Cyborg recommendation. He could easily move up, or he could move down, based on the cards that are released in the future, card draw cards that are released in the future primarily. He could easily become a hero that becomes very, very strong later. He could be now. I'm uncertain about Cyborg, so I'm putting him in the B tier, because I did see him be effective once, but only once, whereas I saw Aquaman highly effective all the time, Green Arrow highly effective all the time. So he's going in the B tier. Next up in tactics we have Batman. Batman, for his 2 charge, gets +3 attack this turn, and you get to seek, which means create one in your hand, one of 2 gadgets. And he has 19 health. Let's take a look at the gadgets that Batman can create. There are 4 of them. Upgraded tear gas. Oh, this is the upgraded version. There we go. We have tear gas, give an enemy recruit -2 attack. All of these gadgets are black resource, which means they're free. Grapnel gun, return a friendly recruit to your hand. Not terribly useful, not chosen that often. Typically, tear gas is decent. Batarang, deal 2 damage to an enemy recruit, probably the most commonly chosen gadget. Very strong, 2 damage for free to an enemy recruit. And bandage, heal 3 damage from a friendly character. Again, not that common, but sometimes chosen. Probably tear damage and the direct damage are tear gas and the direct damage are chosen most often. This is a very good supporting hero. For his 2 charge, he gets +3 attack. He can get another 2 damage from one of his gadgets for free. And there are also cards that take advantage of a gadget being played. Batman strong. Played a Batman Superman deck. Very good. Batman Aquaman I expect to be very good. Batman Green Arrow. Batman's really good. I'm putting him in the high A tier. I don't think he belongs in the S tier because his gadgets don't create value. But he is very strong. He's a very good partner for another A tier hero. He's a very good, very good partner for an S tier hero. I expect the top meta deck probably will be Aquaman Batman when the game is first released. That'll be like the serious players go-to combo. Though you could make a case for Aquaman Green Arrow as well, but I think Aquaman Batman will terrorize the ladder for quite a while, unless the cards are changed. He's very strong. And he's fun to play as well, because when you can only play 2 cards per round, 2 cards that cost resources, it tends to limit the amount of decisions that you can make. Batman gives you additional decisions because you can choose one of the gadgets you want to do, and it's free, so you can play it right away. This gives you the ability to play more than 2 cards per round. So he's fun. He's very strong. He's an excellent partner for Aquaman or Green Arrow. He's going to terrorize the ladder for a long time. And our final tactics hero is going to be Batgirl. Batgirl gets +3 attack this turn and activate the deploy ability of a friendly recruit. Well, there's combo potential there, but it's not going to be easy to pull off. You could play a recruit, get the +3 attack, and then activate the deploy. Well, let's consider, to make her hero power equivalent to Superman's, we'd need to get at least 4 attack in value, but because her attack isn't going to be an invincible attack, she's going to take return damage, we'd probably need to get even more than 4 attack in value in a single turn in order to make Batgirl at least equivalent to Superman. Probably 5 or 6 additional value to make Batgirl equivalent to Superman, whose hero power also costs 3. How many allies in the game have a deploy ability that's worth 6 attack? It's not common. Typically, my experience is that the value of the deploy abilities runs in the 2 to 3 range. And this would functionally mean Batgirl is like a 3 charge for 6 attack type of hero. But Superman's 3 charge for 7 attack and he gets invincible. I don't think Batgirl gets close to his value. And in addition, there are going to be some times when you don't actually have any kind of decent target for this ability. And all you would get is 3 attack, or you just need to sit on the ability. I don't think Batgirl is good. She's going in the D category for me. I'm not a fan of her. Now, what I think needed to happen in order for her to be decent is I think she needed to say, Batgirl gets +3 attack this turn. Activate the deployability of all friendly recruits. In that case, then we're talking about a competitive hero. But just a single friendly recruit, at least with the cards that currently exist, my experience is that the value of a deployability isn't going to run higher than 2 or 3. Though there will be niche cases of a deployability that's stronger. If you're able to get some setup off, like a Martian Manhunter that gets +2/+2 for each other recruit with a deployability. But in that case, if you've already got sufficient setup to make this really good, it's probably a win more card. Or if you've already got like a board so full that you're able to you're able to get off a huge combo involving some deployability, you probably are in a position where you don't even need it, and some other hero would have been more helpful. So with the cards that have currently been revealed, I don't think Batgirl is very good. I don't think her power is high enough value at 3 to compete with like the ability. Like if we tried to compare her to Aquaman, I mean people would just start laughing, right? At least with the cards that we've currently seen and the combos we've currently seen, I don't think this hero is good at all. Compared to the other 3 charge heroes, she falls short, in my opinion. Well short. So let's move on to the Tyranny heroes. First one we're going to talk about is Poison Ivy. In my opinion, none of the villains are in that good of a shape. They're all on the weaker side. It doesn't help that a couple of them seem to be designed with rush decks in mind in a game which is the design of it discourages rush decks. Poison Ivy's ability is 2 energy, summon a Savage Vines, 20 health. We'll have to take a look at Savage Vines to fully evaluate this ability. Here is Savage Vines. It costs a bronze resource. After you draw a card, enemy leaders lose 1 shield, so that's not bad. 3 attack, 2 health. It's not that difficult to deal with. A single Batman gadget will do it, but it is a high priority for opponents, and so if they can't deal with it, they're at least going to take a 1 HP loss from each hero at the start of each turn, and that's serious. That's not bad. Now, it doesn't scale up very well as the game goes on because this is a bronze resource card. It's always ever a bronze resource card. The Aquaman creatures are higher value. The Batman gadgets deal with this very easily. The Green Arrow gadgets deal with this pretty easily. So it's good. It's better early than it is late. It doesn't scale up well. It's more rush oriented. This is partly what I was talking about when I said that the villains all tend to be more rush oriented and the heroes all tend to be more defense oriented, and so the heroes all are better because it's a defense oriented game and the rush decks aren't balanced at the present time. So Poison Ivy she's going in the B tier or the A tier, but she's going lower down the A tier. She's going to be last in the A tier heroes because she does create value, and that is what we're looking for. And that's certainly better than other heroes. I'd say she's better than Batgirl. And Cyborg is a wild card. Batgirl, we could make a case for C tier, but I really don't think that hero is good. Poison Ivy does create value, but because Batman counters her so easily, we can't make a case that she's better than Batman. And I think Wonder Woman offers more value. I think Superman offers more value with his 7 attack. He scales up better into the late game because he's able to take on big recruits. Poison Ivy just doesn't scale up very well at all. She's going in the low A tier. Should be something like a B plus tier hero. Not a high priority to acquire, but could potentially be a decent partner for one of the S tier heroes. Maybe even one of the other A tier heroes, though I would not expect that deck to be a top tier deck. Probably like a mid tier deck with Poison Ivy in it. Let's move on and look at the next Tyranny hero. That would be Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor comes with 19 health, and he reads 4 charge, KO a recruit. If they were friendly, sacrifice them to draw 2 cards and charge Lex Luthor twice. So you could draw 2 cards every 2 rounds at the cost of one of your friendly recruits. But you can't do that for the first time for 4 turns. Or you can use a charge of 4 to defeat any enemy recruit. It's too slow. It doesn't offer enough value. Superman functionally does the same thing against nearly every recruit, but he does it in only 3 turns instead of 4. Are you seeing a pattern here? Batman straight up counters Poison Ivy. Superman is like similar to Lex Luthor, but just better. It makes sense thematically, but in terms of the gameplay, there's balance problems. Lex Luthor is not good. He's not totally useless. He's going in the C tier. In the ideal circumstance, 2 charge for draw 2 cards at the expense of a friendly recruit if it was a very small friendly recruit. Okay, I'll take it over Batgirl, I think. I'll take it over some of the other heroes. But it's not good. It does create value, but it's slow, it's clunky. Yeah, it's not good. We have to spend a resource to play those cards we're sacrificing in order to draw more cards. So it functionally means that we're sacrificing a card to draw 2 cards. If it was just straight up drawing 2 cards for 2 charge, okay, we'd be talking. I'd like that hero. I'd put that hero in the A tier, maybe even the S tier. Or for balance purposes, if you wanted it to be 3 charge to just draw 2 cards, okay. Now we're talking, but not the case. Lex Luthor's pretty weak, and he's going pretty far down the list in the C tier. And next up we have Black Adam. After you deploy a recruit with 5 attack or more, charge Black Adam. Black Adam, 10 charge for 10 attack. Well, we've established that what we're looking for is 2 attack per charge, at least. You'd have to play 5 recruits with 5 cost or more to get Black Adam to that point where you could do 5 energy for 10 attack functionally. Black Adam's so bad. He's so bad compared to other heroes. He's going in the D tier. Might even consider creating an F tier just for him, but he's going in the low D tier. He's worse than Batgirl. This seems really, really bad to me, at least right now, because he's not going to do anything for quite a while. Like, while Batman's creating his gadgets, while Green Arrow's creating his trick arrows, while Aquaman's generating sea creatures, Black Adam is just going to be charging because you can't get recruits with 5 attack or more for a little while. It's hard to find those in the bronze or silver tier. So you're just going to be waiting and waiting and waiting on Black Adam's charge in the early game while your opponent's doing stuff. He's really bad. How would I fix him? The cost for this charge power needs to be something like 7. At 7, we'd be talking about something. At 10, it's too expensive. Moving on to the Anarchy heroes. The Joker. Joker costs 3. He gets 2 attack. His hero power costs 3 charge. He gets 2 attack this turn. And he fires 4 random shots that deal 1 damage. He fires 4 shots that deal 1 damage at random enemies. If you have an Arkham inmate, charge the Joker. So if you've got an Arkham inmate, then the first time you use this hero power it costs 3, but after that it costs 2. And for that 2, you get 6 damage. That's great. That's a good return. It doesn't create value, but he is going in the B tier. Stronger than Poison Ivy. He's close to Superman in value. He's close. Because sometimes he's going to cost 3 charge for 6, and sometimes he's going to cost 2. Superman's 3 for 7. He's very close to Superman in value, and he'll make a decent partner for an Aquaman or a Green Arrow or something like that, or possibly even a decent partner for Batman. That'd be a funny deck, though. You might want somebody who generates something more concrete and that scales up a little better, but at least it would be decent. Joker's not bad. The value he generates is decent. There's not much more to say about him than that because his hero power isn't very complicated. It's just push the button, get some damage. Can't control where it goes, which is a downside. Try to have an Arkham inmate on the board before you do, which isn't that hard. There's a lot of them, and a lot of them are decent. Joker's not bad. It's better than Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy could even end up moving down to the B tier. Next up, we got Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is a rush hero. She has the ability End Adrenaline. Adrenaline means an ability that activates if your hand is empty. End Adrenaline, draw a card. So anytime at the end of your turn that your hand is empty, you draw a card. Harley's ability, 2 energy. Harley Quinn gets 3 attack this turn, 18 health. Well, an ability that activates when your hand is empty would typically be a rush-oriented ability or a discard-oriented ability. This would work in decks where you're trying to empty your hand. I tried a couple of them. I did not think they were good at all. Harley Quinn's pretty bad. She's a rush-oriented hero in a game that's not structured for rush decks. And she's going in the D tier, lower than Batgirl, unless the mechanics are adjusted so that the game becomes more rush-friendly. I don't think Harley Quinn is good. Batgirl would be like a C minus, maybe D plus. She maybe belongs in the mid tier, and we could even make an argument for her moving up a tier to be equivalent to Lex Luthor, to account for her best case scenario, which would provide reasonable value, like A tier value. But Harley Quinn, she just isn't good. You have to play it to take advantage of her ability. You have to play a deck that just doesn't work with the current mechanics of the game. So how would I fix Harley? Well, you need the game to be fixed. And by fixed, I don't mean that it's broken the way it is. I mean you would need the game to be changed to be more rush friendly. I have no issue with the game not being friendly to rush decks at all. Except that some of the heroes seem to be built specifically for rush decks, and some of the cards seem to be built specifically for rush decks, and the game's structure isn't friendly to that kind of hero or that kind of card. So Harley ends up being pretty bad just because to take advantage of her adrenaline ability, you have to play a deck that just isn't very good. So, not a fan of Harley Quinn, unfortunately. Next up, we have Doomsday. Doomsday comes with 24 health, pretty high total. After an enemy leader is KO'd, charge Doomsday twice, so basically once per game you can charge him twice. Doomsday gets 10 attack for 4 charge. I tried Doomsday. I did not think he was good. I understand the logic behind the power of his ability. 10 attack for 4 health, or for 4 charge. Okay, that's 2.5 times the cost. Well, Superman gets 2 times the cost plus 1, but he's invincible when he attacks. For Superman to be equivalent in terms of cost efficiency to Doomsday, we would give him plus 1 power. Or would we? No, that 8 for 3 wouldn't be equivalent. 8 for 3 would be even better. So he's roughly equivalent, almost equivalent in cost efficiency, but he gets invincible when he attacks, and Doomsday doesn't. And to compensate, once per game, Doomsday gets to charge twice. It's thematic. It's not good. Superman's just straight up better. which is thematic. But this isn't good. This isn't a good hero. He's going in the C tier. He does at least deliver more than 2 to 1 for his cost, so he deserves to be higher than Black Adam, Harley Quinn, Batgirl, but he's not good. He's not going to be part of many good decks, top tier decks. Superman just kind of does what he does, but better. And even Cyborg eventually delivers more. So, Doomsday, tried him, not a fan. Don't think he's very good. And finally, we've got the energy heroes. First up is Zatanna. Comes with 19 health. For 2 cost, we seek a magical spell. Well, let's take a look at the magical spells. There's a lot of them. An enemy recruit makes a bonus attack against another random enemy character. Transform a recruit into a random recruit. Draw 2 actions. Seek a friendly recruit that was KO'd this game and summon it. Give a friendly recruit hidden. Give a friendly character +4. Give your leader's aura. Deal 1 to 5 damage to an enemy character. Heal 3 to 7. Deal 1 damage. Exhaust each enemy recruit. Ready a friendly recruit. Charge a friendly leader and give them +2. A recruit that deals 3 damage to any other random recruit. Give a leader +2 attack. Give an enemy recruit -4, -1. There's a wide variety. You can't choose what the cost of the card you're going to generate will be like you can with Green Arrow, but nonetheless, the value that Zatanna creates is reasonable. It's reasonable. She's not quite in Green Arrow's category because her value doesn't always scale up well. If it said seek a bronze, silver, or gold magical spell, then we'd be talking about a Green Arrow caliber hero. I don't know why it doesn't say that. It probably should, given that there are gold, silver, and bronze heroes, or bronze magical spells, and free ones as well. It probably should say that to give a parity with Green Arrow, but it doesn't. So she's going in a lower tier than Green Arrow. I think Batman is more reliable. I think Wonder Woman, that's debatable. She's going in the mid-A tier. The value that she creates can be quite strong. It can also be a little bit not what you were looking for. But she does create value. Creates cards for you to play so that you don't run out and can continue to fight for the board. It's solid. She's solid. And I wouldn't prioritize her over Batman. Would I prioritize her over Wonder Woman? That's debatable. Or over Superman or Joker. You could debate on that. You could even argue it that she should be ranked as low as Poison Ivy. There's a lot of RNG involved. If you could choose from among all the magical spells when you use her power, she'd be a lot better, but you have to choose from 3, and they're random. So, a lot of RNG, and that gives her a lower ranking than Batman, in my opinion, but she's a good partner for another A-tier hero, except for something like Poison Ivy. That deck would probably run out of steam. The game's going to revolve around Aquaman and Green Arrow and probably Batman. Maybe Wonder Woman, but probably those top 3 is what the game's going to revolve around at first. Next up, we have the Flash. The Flash gets 2 attack and Flurry. Flurry means multiple attacks for 2 costs, so he can attack for 2 twice, which would be strong if he had Invincible, but he only has 17 health, and each time he attacks a enemy recruit, it's going to cost him some health, so that's not going to scale up well into the late game at all. Flash for me is going in the B tier because his ability is going to be strong early but weak late as he runs out of HP, and that's going to be a more rush oriented hero. He does get 4 attack for 2, but Wonder Woman gets 4 attack for 2. She does it in a single attack, which we'd prefer And she gives recruits +1. That's just straight up better than the Flash. A hero power that costs 2 is better than those of Lex Luthor or Doomsday in my opinion. But because he runs out of steam, he's going in like the low B tier. Just because attacking for 2 twice costs a lot in terms of health if you're using it to attack recruits, and usually you will be, because it's not that common to have an empty board where you can just attack an enemy hero. Next up we have Shazam. Shazam with 22 HP, a 3 cost ability. Shazam gets +5 attack this turn. Create 5 lightning bolts in your deck. A lightning bolt is a free spell that deals 2 damage and draws a card. So that doesn't create value per se. I guess you can give it a value of 2 attack with high RNG because you can't control when that's going to happen. It may not happen at all. It may happen a few times per game. If you have a long game, it's going to happen a bunch of times. Shazam is slow. He's slow to get going. You need a lot of lightning bolts in the deck. Once that happens, he scales up well. The value of his ability would be 3 for 15 if you could reliably get all the lightning bolts at once, but you can't. So he's slow to get going. He ramps up into the late game. He's something of a wild card like Cyborg for me. But I think he's maybe even slower than Cyborg. We'll put him in the B tier, with a caveat that I would not make him a high priority buy, at least from what I've seen so far. It's hard to get enough value from a 3 cost hero. You'll note at this point, in the S and A tiers, there's only 2 heroes that cost 3. Superman with the 7 attack and invincible, and Aquaman with his incredible value. Does Shazam equal either of those? In the late game, yeah, he gets something close to Superman, though for his 5 attack he has to take a health penalty, which means in the late game it becomes unusable. In fact, one of the games in one of my gameplay videos, an enemy was playing Shazam and used his hero power in the late game, but because he had low HP, he just had to let the attack go to waste. So all he got for his 3 cost was creating 5 lightning bolts. That's not good. He runs out of steam, similar to the Flash. He runs out of steam. And so he's getting ranked similar to the Flash, probably even worse to be honest. I put him in the very low B tier. And finally, we have Hal Jordan. At the start of your first turn, create a Green Lantern in your hand. Green Lantern is a free 2 health recruit. 3 cost. Hal Jordan gets 3 attack this turn. Generate a bronze resource. Seems good at first glance. The first time I saw this card, I thought it would be good. When I tried it, 3 attack for 3 cost is not good. We'd hope for 6. So can we get an extra 3 in value from that bronze resource? Well, as I mentioned, typically we're playing 2 cards per turn and drawing 1. If we're to consistently get value from Hal's ability over the course of the game, we've got to be drawing or creating a lot of cards. Otherwise, we're going to generate an extra bronze resource, but not actually have another card to play with it. So he needs to be paired with the right deck. He needs to be paired with Green Arrow. He needs to be paired with Aquaman. He needs to be paired with somebody who can reliably create value for him to use, or his extra resource is simply going to go unused. He's going in the C or the B tier for me, but high B tier, because with the right partner, that extra value can be good. But he does absolutely require the right partner. Nonetheless, I think he's better than our C or D tier heroes. So that is all of our heroes that are available upon release for DC Dual Force. My recommendations, if we have any choice about which heroes to acquire first, is go for Aquaman and Green Arrow. Aquaman Batman deck to start you off will do very well. Pick up Green Arrow after that, and choose what you like best from among Wonder Woman, Superman, Zatanna. I'd probably rank Superman a little bit above Zatanna. I think the Might cards are pretty strong, and we do need to account for the strength of the cards that are available. Superman and Wonder Woman are in Might, and I found Might pretty strong. Stronger than Energy, so we should probably put Zatanna behind Superman just based on that alone. Tactics cards are very strong as well. So I'd go for Aquaman and or Green Arrow, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, potentially the Joker or Zatanna after that. And then maybe you could pick up a wild card hero that you want to experiment with, like Cyborg or Hal Jordan or Shazam or something like that. Poison Ivy, the more I look at it, the more I think that the value she creates isn't that good. But she does create value. So I think high B, low A is appropriate for her. But she does need a much stronger partner to be paired with, particularly one who is going to scale well into the late game. Cyborg, his position I'm not confident in. My recommendations are Aquaman, Green Arrow, Batman, and then potentially Wonder Woman or Superman or something like that. But those top three I'm very confident in. Aquaman, Green Arrow, Batman. Very confident in all of those. So, open beta starting tomorrow. The progress that we make collecting cards in the open beta will be permanent. And looking forward to making more videos on the open beta. And thank you for watching.